welcome back to my channel. I wanted to do a video that I hope does get posted about being an alpha female, okay? And this is something that I swear, when I started my channel, okay, I feel like I've grown massively from the person I once was in my first few videos and first year of YouTube, to be fair, because my self-concept was extremely destroyed because of various aspects which I don't really want to go into at this moment. And it hasn't always been destroyed, but I definitely have relearned myself during these videos when I've had to post them and stuff, and obviously watch them back before they get posted. And I don't actually really want to address the people that can be like, oh, what the fuck, you're an alpha female, who gives a fuck? Well, don't watch. Um, so yeah, because I feel like I came on the channel as well just having this mindset of a lot of internalized beliefs from the school system and negative people and wherever else that really made me a really shy person. I just saw 111. Oh, 111 on the clock, which basically means I always comment on the angel numbers I see now. 111, which is you're on the right path, basically, and just trust the timing. Okay, I mentioned. And I feel like my confidence was really low, actually, for a variety of reasons. Not just negative people, but it's the conditioning you get through a one size fits all system. And I was bullied as well, so that didn't help. And various other aspects that came into that. And I want to talk about it because, do you know what? Some people are going to want to watch this and they'll think, do you know what? I want to know what it's like being an alpha female, because at the end of the day, they will, and I want to talk about it. So, because the thing is, I think I kind of gave up, if you want, the right to be an alpha female. Not right, but when I was bullied, it basically this person basically just fucking tried to break down. I mean, it was a variety of aspects. Okay, it was partially this, but it's all of your traits that make you an alpha female. I basically just tried to bury because I didn't want the bullshit that came with it and the fucking beta females and I'm not saying all beta females are bad, but toxic people. Okay, I'm not saying beta females are toxic, but there's toxic people that will come against you, and it's just I got so fucking tired of it. So I left. I swapped schools, and I was like, I'm gonna fucking fall so far under the radar. No one's even gonna fucking know I exist in this place. I had friends, but I could not cope with the fucking controversy of school. You know, and everyone that has seen any of my other videos will know how anxiety provoking it was for me in the first place. But anyway, I want to talk about it because I think it can just reflect on confidence that anyone can take, and also the bullshit and power that can come from taking your power back from those negative situations. Because the world is going to be, as I say, I'm not going to focus on the negative sides of it, but I want to continue building myself up, because at the end of the day, for this entire lifespan that I've got in this time, I'm going to be an alpha female, and I can't retire those parts of myself for no good reason, and I can't just decide that I'm going to be this lay under the radar kind of person. I can choose my circumstances, and I can live quietly, if you will, as much as I want or as much as I don't want. But at the end of the day, I'm still going to be what I am, and I want to embrace those traits, and I want to, what's the word? I want to be able to filter. I think the key to, well, not the key. It's a train of thought that I've seen off a video actually. Is the idea of obviously pruning your personality and yourself to the place that you want to be and what suits you as a person, actually through aura colors, but I won't really tangent onto that too far because it's kind of confusing. But just to depict the traits that work for you, your weaknesses, because everyone's got weaknesses, to be fair, and everyone's got strengths. And I don't think so. So yeah, I don't think it necessarily in hindsight was the worst thing for me to try and go under the radar in the second part of my secondary school, because in the first part of school, and I was a really early developer, and I was properly a bit of a crazy bitch and a bit fucking off the wall for I'm sure the first periods of my life, especially in the school I did get bullied at, because I was spending 3 hours on a bus every day where I did nothing but talk to people. So I needed to chill the fuck out as well, to be fair. I feel the universe was right, chill out, focus on your GCSEs, which is what you get in UK. But anyway, 5 minutes in, I feel it's the confidence that you have to embrace the traits that you are. And I've done this whole video on alpha, beta, delta, sigma, and whatever the other one is. gamma. Because the thing about being an alpha is that you become a gamma as well, like towards the second half of your life. But you are basically both, I think. So you still continue having alpha traits, I think, but they sort of fade into gamma as well. So you kind of are both, I think. I think over time. And like I've still got some alpha life to live here. I can't just be like, oh well, I was acting as an alpha in my younger years. I got some diversity from it and some adversity, and I can just like retire myself being an alpha from now on because either some people are threatened by it, some like men that either whatever are threatened by it. I need to live in my fucking power. I'm almost 27 years old. I need to live in my power and I need to do what suits me because being an alpha female, you've got certain traits. You don't run in packs like betas do. You're very independent and driven. There's a lot of fucking benefits to it. You have to moderate yourself to the point where you know what your negative traits are. And you know how to wrangle yourself, if you will. But also to embrace the good parts and not let other people that are threatened by you, that are basically trying to cut you down and make you lose and basically sabotage you, make you sabotage yourself. I fucking hate that, And I don't really want to go into the negatives of being alpha and everything. I want it to be like what are the positives, but it's like you have to like embrace the good parts. Like I have to move back into my alpha energy and like I feel like everyone can be that bitch, but I really just want to like be that bitch and actually be that bitch. Like I feel like I have to embrace my Delulu. This has been coming about recently, and it's not necessarily. I don't want to feel guilty about being confident when I need to be, because to be confident is to be like you have to be confident. Like this is the thing I learned like when I had like intervention from mental health. Like you have to be comfortable with confidence. Like you shouldn't if you're knocking yourself down for no good reason, there's something wrong. Like you will be conditioned in an unhealthy way if you're not happy to sit in your confidence. And what I've noticed about this is that when people don't comfortably sit in their confidence, they look to external sources to bring them confidence, and that is just going to make you terrible. Because I feel like my annoying traits come out if I'm literally not getting what I need. I noticed that the other day when I went out with my friend. I was being so annoying. I was like, I'm so sorry. I feel like I'm just like really attention seeking, like proper pick me girl mentality. But it's like people aren't going to have the fucking time to do that to you all the time, And it gets annoying. I would get annoyed. Like if people are like sucking my life force that I'm supposed to give to myself for them, for the sake of them, like that's not healthy. Like I wouldn't want that, to be around that. And you have to feed yourself what you need. And sometimes if you need to feed yourself confidence and a bit of Delulu to feel that way, that's okay. And if you've got a voice in the back of your head saying, don't do that, fucking chill the fuck out, don't be a fucking cocky bitch, and just fucking calm down and don't fucking, that's bad. Like that's fucking negative conditioning, babes. Like that's not cool. That's not what you need to be living. You gotta live in your fucking best Delulu energy if that's what makes sense to you. Like, ain't nobody gonna tell me anymore, especially as I'm getting older as well. Like, I ain't got fucking time for bloody social anxiety and stupid fucking limiting fucking behaviours and limiting beliefs. Like, I've not got the energy and the time for that. That's not okay with me, So if I got people fucking, and it's internalisation, I can't even blame these people at this point because, I mean, I can blame them if I want, but it will do nothing. Like, what I have to do is recondition myself. And, it's like you have to know your trait. It's not necessarily about knowing your traits to exploit your own traits, but if you realise you're limiting yourself, fucking do something about it. Like tell yourself something different. Tell yourself a different story, because you can. It's like when people tell children nice stories or they tell them scary stories. Like children are going to be conditioned into, and it's sometimes just your inner child, especially if you're traumatized, even as like a teenager or an adult. Actually, you can have your inner child traumatized as an adult, and it's like you got to be gentle with yourself. And because I feel like I can be so harsh on myself, and it's not even being an alpha, it's something else. I'm sure I did some sort of like sign like thing somewhere, or what am I in this category or this category? And it's like I'm really harsh on myself, and I'm really really harsh on others sometimes, and I have to fucking keep an eye on that. overall. I don't want to make this like I have to be my best alpha life and be so fucking hard on myself and blah blah. But I've spent a few years getting really drunk, fucking messing around with people and bloody this and that and the other, and just whatever, being a bit of a like basically I don't know, just not super. Productive in life. Like I feel like I've lived the most happiest life I've ever wanted, and the most fullest life I could want in that. And that's good. That's how you should live your early 20s, and that's how you should live your life, definitely. But also, I feel like sometimes it's like when you want to actually apply that, you can, and it's not about meritocracy. And it's not like, oh, if I apply that, I'm gonna make fuck tons of money and blah blah. But also, if you're limiting the amount of like productivity in whatever way you want, that could in theory be poor conditioning, or negative conditioning, which makes no sense to continue having, you got to prove yourself. It's not about making money for the corporates. It's not what I want about. It's about living your best life and not living in fear and anxiety and fucking stupid delusional mindsets that serve other people. You can be like, oh, I don't want to serve big companies by like actually, you know, becoming this consumer like for a big company and just like make them loads of money at the expense of my own soul. And that's a fair point. Don't fucking do that. If it doesn't serve you, don't do it. But don't serve other people and serve the corporates by degrading yourself and minimizing yourself to the place of being an incompetent or inept person due to limiting beliefs that that you yourself continue to perpetuate through no fault of your own, because you haven't done the inner work to actually bring yourself into an elevated place and to actually ditch the old shit and fucking elevate and expand into your best self, And I feel like everyone has to do that. And if that means releasing old conditioning, questioning old conditioning, realizing that maybe the reason you fucking tell your inner child to shut the fuck up is because you've been told to be told to shut the fuck up. And it's like, you've got to address that and be like, nah, I'm gonna fucking embrace my inner child and be like, do you know what? You haven't got to shut the fuck up. If you've got something to say, fucking respect it. And then your inner parent is going to be like, nah, don't tell me to shut. Because do you know what I've realised as well recently, actually? It happened where I was kind of dismissive of someone actually at a cafe. Because people, it will manifest externally as well. Because I told someone to shut the fuck up at a cafe. I didn't tell them to shut the fuck up. They were kind of like sassy with me, and I feel like they just were unnecessarily sassy. So I was like fucking 10 times sassier back with her, and she just kind of like, I don't know, I just felt like I was kind of put in my place. And I did it to someone in Primark today where I was like, they were kind of sassy with me. It was just a look and it was just a vibe. I was like 10 times sassier, and they fucking just like, they kind of like straightened up a bit. Like, if you hold your own shit, it's not about being stubbornness. Stubbornness is neither here nor there. It's not about making a point. It's not about making people uncomfortable, like, for no reason, for your own pleasure. That's not what I'm on about. But people are so afraid because of the astrological era we used to have, which is Pisces, where everyone fucking has to be very, very nice to each other and look to each other and be very, very interdependent on each other and blah, blah. We're not in that place anymore. We're in Aquarius. And people have to be self-reliant. And people are so terrified as a collective to actually stand in their power. And especially because some people manipulate that power to the nth degree. It even just puts people off even further. And it's like, if you stand in your power and your truth and your rights, and I've literally talk about this all the time, like if you stand in your actual genuine truth and in your power and in your actual, what's the word, completeness, and also, even if it's something small, but if you've healed your inner child and you've healed your inner child wounds and your actual communication with yourself and how other people have harmed you through that communication, and you have transcended that, okay, shall we say, to a point of peace and leveling up and confidence and like being at your best self and not being internally broken and not being an internal victim. I'm not saying people don't get victimized. I always use this disclaimer. I don't feel like people are always victimized, but to overcome that victim mentality, it's so powerful, because as an adult, people will think twice before they try and fuck you over and before they try and talk to you with disrespect. If you know that you're in truth, I mean, there's one thing to say, do you know what? If someone speaks to me with entitlement, you could argue, we should all be humble, right? Okay, and here's the truth. Like, it's like we should all be humble, yeah. And I feel like through negative circumstances, you become more, what's the word? More, I think, understanding of other people's negative circumstances. And it's good to be humble, but you have to. But with one extreme comes another extreme, and you can't actually be as humble as you necessarily need to be if you can't be as entitled as you need to be as well in certain other areas. And it shouldn't bring someone else. This is what I'm saying as well. It shouldn't be bring about. You shouldn't need someone else that you need to stand up for in order to be entitled and to be within your own power for what you need and to bring yourself what you need through boundaries. Because it's one thing to be standing in your own power and demand respect, because I think people forget as well the power of females because of history, right? And there being the suffragettes and there being like, injustices with women and blah blah blah. But historically, women are such powerful beings, and it's not just about women; it's about men as well. But misogyny, I think, is more prevalent often than feminism is overall. Maybe I'm sure that it's all kind of mixed in, really. But I think, if you want to be a submissive female, you do you. If you want to be a housewife and you're happy for the man to make all the decisions. But I also think even if you're a submissive person and you're a female, it doesn't mean that you have no power and that you just remove all your power and you give up all your power. That's not how healthy relationships work. It's not about just giving all your power up as a female. And this is another part of the conditioning as well. And I don't really want to ramble on for too long, but I think it's one of those things that if you want to listen, you will listen, because it's good shit. And I feel like it's interesting. And it's like if you don't give up your power, there's one sense, but I think to give up your power too easily, I think it's when you give up your power to people that you may not necessarily need to give your power up to, because sometimes it puts me, like, it's the compassion for other people as well, because I think people, especially I found this, when you're in systems where you're blind and you've not got the time to really self-evaluate and be your best self at all times because you're distracted by all the shit that comes with being in that system, okay, and being around other people, it's hard to center, I find, for me at least, and it can be, and it's like, when people put me in my place, when I'm in that space, it benefits me, and it makes me a better person to be put in line to an extent when I've been, because hurt people. If you're dismissed by your manager and you're in a bad mood, you might dismiss someone else that doesn't deserve that. And if they, by whatever action that may mean, a look, a comment, whatever, stand in their power and they're like, no, you're not going to dismiss me because I got something important to say, and that's not for you to do. You don't define my actions and the power that I receive. That is not in your path. That's not for you to do. That is in my power to do. If you come at it with that attitude, I guarantee you that person will think twice and be like, do you know what? Yeah. And the way they come about will think, do you know what? Yeah, I am in the wrong here by dismissing you for no reason. That is not for me to do. And I'm not saying toxic people, chaotic people, people that don't fucking, want to help, people that don't want to, create benefit to you, people that go into the blatant mind of chaos, reptilian people are actually going to listen to you. If you set those boundaries and you don't need to care about them, they are whatever, they can disperse as they will, because as long as you've got distance from them, that's a plus, that is literally all you need. But I'm talking about people that have all right intention but are caught up in a system that is messed up and backwards for various reasons, and just going about life in the everyday and not falling under the radar of society. Because don't think that society owes you anything. Don't think the world owes you anything. This is what I'm saying. I feel like this is a tough love kind of video, but it's like, don't think the world owes you anything. If you're working for a conglomerate, they care about money, and they care about people at the top, and they care about productivity, and they care about you doing their shit for them for a wage, because it fits into their role. And companies are different. They operate differently. Some are more beneficial to the people than others. But at the end of the day, you're a statistic, okay, for a company, and that's fine. And if you're happy with that, and that's the job that you do, then amazing. If you're living your best life, then please do, because that's a beautiful thing. And who gives a fuck if it's a conglomerate or not? You're doing what you need to do, and that's your role. Perfect, good for you. I'm so happy, because you're living your purpose, and that's beautiful. But I'm saying that, the goal shouldn't be to be part of the conglomerate. I feel like I should stop talking now, because I feel like this has been power enough of a video. But I feel like people, stand up for your shit, because it's really about inner children. I think it's about giving your inner child what you need, grieving what you didn't get, and giving it back to them in full for what they need. And once you heal your inner child, it's not about entitlement. I feel like people are much more likely to be entitled if they're not getting their needs met. If they're getting their needs met, they're not going to be entitled. You know, they're not going to be difficult, because they'll say, do you know what, sweet, you do you, you be a bitch. But at the end of the day, I know what I need and I know what I deserve, and this is not it. And peace. That's the least entitled thing you can do. And if you're being entitled, maybe you've got a wound and maybe you've not got your needs met somewhere. It's about meeting those needs for what they are, whether that's come from the past, usually it has, whether it's still active now, how it's manifested in your life. Because if you have a wound and you're in pain, your universe will bring that to you for you to heal and recognise. So it's about recognising where that comes up and actually tackling that. Because at the end of the day, if you're walking around with this gaping wound, even that you're not aware of, you know, it's like people are going to notice that and they're going to feed into it without even meaning to. Even if they don't want to, they'll feed into it. And it's sad, you know, because it shouldn't happen. Especially when you don't deserve these wounds, when these wounds are inflicted on you by foul play and by people that are trying to break you down. It's not fair. So it's about tackling that, wherever that comes from, to do it, because you'll see a valid difference. I think about how I was age 16 when I was so broken from like school, from negative relationships, from just various reasons, bullying, blah blah, and toxic relationships in various aspects. And it's like how I then moved to like even like, you know, 22, 23, and how much I developed in those 5 years of adulthood, where I just built so many more boundaries for myself, and like people treated me so differently, noticeably, where I could easily fall under the radar at age 16. And it's not about necessarily being noticed by people. It is to a level, but it's being noticed for the human being you are. It's not, I feel like when I say noticed, it sounds like attention seeking. I don't think it's about being noticed as much as it is about being in your power and standing in your power energetically and being seen for what you are and what you bring to something, rather than just being like, you know, there being no purpose to what you're doing and you feel dead in aspects because you're wounded from things, and those wounds stop you and block you from experiencing your full capacity to be and to live and to enjoy and to have emotion. And because you're like, oh well, this resentment happened in the past, I've got this gaping wound of this and this, because in the past this and this happened to me, and so therefore I will never, you know, your universe will block you from so many things in that avenue, because you don't want to actually face that issue that's stopping you and blocking you from certain things. And people aren't aware of it, people don't know. But it is so important to realise that if the world is bringing you something, if something's coming up again and again and again and again, to actually be like, do you know what is it? What is this trying to show me? And it's really hard to see from the perspective you're in, but if you just look at your wounds, journaling your inner thoughts at that time can really be like, whoa, you can have absolutely no idea what the fuck it's actually come from, and you'd be like, wait, that's how this person used to treat me. Or maybe during this time I didn't get this thing, and now I've internalized that, and I really blame myself for needing that because I wasn't given it then. I don't give it to myself now, and I just discard that need. You know, it's difficult and almost impossible apparently to actually receive what you want and what's in your purpose if you've got these wounds that are actively blocking it, because you won't receive it. You will reject it by default because you won't want to experience the wound that's come from the disappointment that in the past you have had from that need that you may have had to try and get from something that couldn't give it to you. Usually, in my experience, actually, from seeing this happen again and again, people often want things from other people that they can't give themselves, that they actually get from like source, and they get from healing, and they get from being with the universe and meeting that need in their own way, actually, from themselves, from the universe, and wanting that from another person, and that person taking advantage of them for not and not meeting that need because it benefits them. They get some sort of malicious humour out of it, or they're reptilian and they actually just want genuine chaos for you. Or, you know, and that's usually the way it happens. I think it's really about facing yourself and being like, right, this person did this shit to me, I needed this, my inner child needed this and I did not get it. It's not fair, and it's not okay, and it's painful, and it's complicated. It feels uncomfortable sometimes, and you feel a little bit like a cog's not turning properly, and your cogs are like slowly like trying to turn, when it's actually happening. But it's so important to actually manually rejig yourself so you're actually in a place of genuine what's the word, truth and coherence with what you are in the world. Because if you're held back from your purpose and you're held back from circumstances that you want, there's nothing worse than thinking, or I'm sure there is stuff worse, but there's thinking that you want something and you go for it again and again and again and again, and it's not coming to you. You're thinking, what is it, that's blocking me here? And when it's yourself, and then you think about it and you think, wait, that happened, and that means that I'm blocking myself. I want this, but I can't have it because I'm not giving it to myself, because back here I've got all these wounds surrounding this, and I don't want to put myself through that again. And it's like, face the disappointment, be like, I was disappointed by this situation, and that's okay, and that wasn't meant for me, but now it may be meant for me, and if it's not, to recognize what I actually need, what's underneath that need, because people often as well, they do things that they want, things that are manifestations of what they actually need, or they do things that are manifestations of what they actually need. For example, like, I feel like a massive one, I don't know if it's a bit too complicated to talk about, but it's when people like distract, it's often, they're often like distractions. If you distract yourself with something destructive or painful, it's because you don't want to experience or be with pain often, and you think that the pain you can control it, because people like things that are predictable. So you can think, predictably, I'm going to feel the pain from this experience, which may easily be unconscious, maybe from this life, maybe from a past life, but you manifest pain in your reality because that is the manifestation of the pain you haven't yet processed from over here. Inevitably, people will feel pain, but it's not about carrying this baggage. It's the baggage, I think, that people need to release, because other people can't do it for you. The beauty of it, and the truth, and the real journey of it, is that you can only do that yourself. And that's when people talk about spiritual awakening. You can only do that shit yourself. You can only meet your needs yourself, and you can only benefit yourself from doing all that stuff. People can't meet that shit for you. So anyway, thanks for listening. I'll probably see what the next coming else to talk more. Thanks.